My friend Jeff Ezrianuk. I remember when a couple years back, I was sitting in the car with my pastor at the time. Well, he's still my pastor, but I'm at a different church, Pastor Ed, and we were sitting there, and I just very poignantly asked him, Ed, where is this empowerment? Where are these Christians at? This life transformation that's supposed to be taking place in our lives as Christians, where are these people? Much like these people you speak of, where are these people that are supposed to be this beacon of light, of hope, conviction? Where's the life transformation that is so closely associated, with when you read through the New Testament, you see this empowerment, this change that takes place, this inner transformation that takes place in the lives of these people. And, there really wasn't an answer to the question. But I remember I asked that and thinking to myself, man, this is... Because much like yourself, and I had this a similar conversation with Randy Helzer, man, I just was like thinking to myself, being frustrated. And you know what I was frustrated over? I was frustrated over the brokenness. I was frustrated that everywhere I looked, I saw broken people. Every morning when I look in the mirror, I see a broken man. I see somebody that is in many days confused. There's conflicts within me. I can't understand so many different things, and yet I want to. And emotionally, and there's so many things. I'm just messed up. And I was frustrated by the brokenness, and I was thinking that somehow, if God comes into someone's life, that all of a sudden all those things go away, and I realized that's not the case. And even in the Gospels and in the New Testament, we see it just wasn't the case. They're broken people. And there's not very many around that are really transformed, that really love Jesus. But there are some. There are some that are there. They're striving. They're pursuing. They're broken. And yet they love Jesus. And they're willing to be His hands and His feet, to be a beacon of light in this dark world, to bring hope and love. They don't rely on proofs or arguments. It doesn't matter too much to them. Maybe sometimes. We have to be careful not to place ourselves in boxes, one way or the other. A favorite Bible verse of Bible story of mine is in John chapter 9, when Jesus and His disciples are walking past and they see this blind beggar, and the disciples ask Jesus this question: whose fault is this? Was it this man's parents, like the parents' sin, or was it this man's sin that made him this way? And so they had this very strict theological idea, and they sort of tossed it Jesus' way, and Jesus was like, well, actually, none of that. The reason this situation, this moment right now, is so that the glory of God would be manifest in this man's life. And you see how John, uses this idea of Jesus being the light of the world. And he takes this amazing symbol of Jesus being the light of the world, and he presents it in this amazing story in a very tangible way. So here's this blind man, he can now see, and he goes, and the Bible talks about how his neighbors, the neighbors were like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. But then there were some that were like, wait, is this really the man that we've seen begging? Is this really him? And then there's a third group that were like, absolutely not. This is not that man. It couldn't be the man. And then the blind man then gets presented before the religious people of the time, the ones the intellectuals that knew the theology, the ins and the outs, and they were like, who did this? How did this happen? And they were just baffled, and the fact that Jesus did it just really pissed them off. And so, you had some that were like, this man is a sinner. Jesus is a sinner. He did this on this day of Sabbath, the day of rest. This is impossible. He couldn't be a man of God. And, the most amazing thing was amidst all this, even this young man's parents even sort of bailed out on him. And this young man, before the theological folks of the time, the religious people, he says, whether this man was a sinner or not, I don't know. But what I do know is I was blind, but now I see. It's such an amazing, poignant truth that this man just knew, and he was questioned. The neighbors didn't believe. Some didn't believe. The religious people of the time wanted him to deny and to rationalize and to think and isolate himself in this strict theological idea. And the guy's just like, look. And so they cast him out. And Jesus, the Bible tells us how Jesus went and sought after this man and found him. And Jesus provided for this man physical healing, but Jesus came to this man. He found this man, and he provided spiritual healing to this man. And Jesus was like, do you believe in the Son of Man? Do you believe in the one who would bring salvation? And he was like, who is this person? And Jesus basically says, you're looking at him. Gets me emotional. This is my third take. I don't know why I did it on this take. Because that's how I feel. I feel like I was that blind man. And I needed somebody. Jesus came to me. And he said, I'm here. I am what you're looking for, Jack. And I believe. And I bowed down and I worshipped him just like the blind man did. And you're right. I don't. All my proofs and logical arguments will fail at the end of the day. And I know they can never, ever convey this truth that I have in my life. But as Christians today and in the past, we're diverse. We rise to different occasions. Sometimes we are encountered with a particular culture or society in which we want to convey something, and we want to speak in a way that speaks to a particular mindset. And in that way, it's important, for Christians today to be able to engage in that way. But most certainly, we can never lose focus. And we always must remember the hope of what we profess. And how no proof, no logical argument, is ever going to bring someone to that point. But nonetheless, just as Paul says, he becomes all things to all people. And so as believers, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But there are some of us, we're striving. We're trying. We're trying to be that light and the hope in this world. So, alrighty. I love you, man. Everybody take care, and peace be with you.